Okay, so last week I had the sincere pleasure of watching Atlanta season 4. It was over the course of 4 sessions and 2 days. Watched 2 episodes, then 3 episodes, then 3 episodes, then 2 episodes. And I think I said this in my last Thursday video that at some point I think I do want to do an Atlanta tier list. I was just like tiering all the episodes, which I also said I was gonna do about Smiling Friends and still haven't done. Eventually, I'll try to get to some of that shit and try to get back into tier lists. Um, but to my point, when I have a list of just all, I think it's 41 episodes. I think season one is 11, then the other three are all 10. If I have a list of all 41 episodes in front of me, season by season, I might change my opinion on this, but as I was watching season 4, and then right as I finished season 4, and even now, about a week or so after finishing season 4, I feel like it is my favorite season. I, off the top of my head, can't think of very many bad episodes of Atlanta overall. As critical as I was as some of the episodes in season 3, because while in hindsight I feel like, no, these are very much still thematically Atlanta episodes, watching them, they just didn't feel quite right. They didn't really happen in season 4. I think for me, the closest was the Mr. Chocolate episode. And even then, A, I think it's still a really good episode, and 2, it has one of the funniest scenes in the entire series. One of the reasons I did this Atlanta marathon is, I mean, like, I really wanted to watch the show because I had seen most of season 1 and really enjoyed it, is I had seen the grits don't work on me scene and laughed so fucking hard. Like, I have to get to this episode. And I also really wanted to see the Goofy Movie episode, which is the only episode of season 4 to not have anyone from the main cast, kind of like those episodes from season 3. And while those season 3 episodes, again, I think work, I wasn't crazy about them. The Goof Who Sat by the Door might be my favorite episode of the season. I'm not sure about that. Because the most, I don't remember the names of every episode, but the most Atlanta is phenomenal. It Was All a Dream. The finale is so fucking good and interesting. I loved Crank That Killer. I don't remember the episode of Alfred, what the name of the episode of Alfred and the Farm. I can basically say that about like every episode of the season. Like, oh, this one's really good, and this one's really good, and this one's so good. This isn't like a super funny episode, but it's still like really hit. Like, season 4 is phenomenal. And again, ranking the episodes, having them all in front of me, there's a chance season 2 could pull it out. But as much as I love season 2, I do think season 4 kind of clears. I won't lie, I was very angry and upset when I finished the final episode and saw the ending, and that has nothing to do with the quality of the ending or what happens there. It is just oh, I don't have any more Atlanta to watch. And this feels like an ending and not we just haven't made season 5 yet. I'm gonna have no more episodes of Atlanta. This is fucked up. This is some bullshit. And to me, that's how good the show is. That's how enjoyable it is. It still left me wanting more. But in a good way. Not that, man, it's bad, it's unsatisfying, I don't know, it's like eating a Pringle, and I'm just like, I could eat another one. I could probably eat another one. It's really, really good. A couple things I do want to talk about, and as always, when I talk about Atlanta, I'll have a chunk where I'm like, all right, let me go through the themes. This the shit that I had to do with this theme, this shit that I do with this theme, and then here's the Bizarro shit, etc., etc. At the end of all that, I will talk about the final scene. But a couple things I want to go into. Like, number one, full spoilers for the season and the whole series. Let me go and say that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, spoilers are live. I have to specifically point out the fact that Alfred didn't die, because I deadass thought he was going to. It was something I had noticed. It was either like late in season 3 or early season 4. I just kind of realized Alfred is a character that is very heavily associated with death. Like, the first time we see him in the show, it's a bit of a flash forward to the end of the first episode, but it's him killing somebody. When he meets up with Justin Bieber, he recognizes him as the dude who killed somebody. We get, in season 2, his mom passes away. In season 3, he's talking to the ghost of his mom who passes away. In this season, there's the whole thing with the Crankdat killer, and he thinks he's going to get killed, and then there's someone else who's actively trying to kill him, and he's getting shot at. He finds a dead rat in his tractor. There's him looking after Yodel Kid, and Yodel Kid dies, and his album is Born to Die. Like, there seems to be this really heavy association between Alfred and people dying. And I hope it doesn't go where I think it's going, but I think I know where it's going. And luckily for me, it didn't. Paperboy survives. He has a tractor fall on his foot at one point, and he beats a wild boar to death with a frying pan. But he survives the encounters, and I was very happy to be wrong about that. The other thing I want to bring up is, I've said this before, particularly a couple times last year when I re-listened to the album. Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly is one of my favorite albums of all time. And to me, Atlanta is a really good representation of what I get out of To Pimp a Butterfly. And yes, one of the really big themes of To Pimp a Butterfly is about race relations in America. And you definitely get a lot of that in Atlanta. I feel like, especially in season 3, where I feel like it's kind of the biggest theme of the season rather than like Hustle and such. But what I personally really get out of To Pimp a Butterfly is the story of a man who is fighting for success and is struggling with his identity as he's getting it. And how, he's getting there, he's hustling, and then he gets to that point, but he hates himself for it. And he's not hating himself because he's successful. He's hating himself because of what he left behind. He's like, hey, you're not giving back to your community the way you should. He was like, have you talked to your family? Have you talked to your friends? There are so many people that you left behind to go chase your dreams, and now that you've got it, what are you doing for them? For the people who supported you, for the people who were there, who raised you, man, fuck you. And it's You. Like, You is one of my favorite songs on Pimp a Butterfly. It's not my favorite, that's how much $1 cost. But it's that just self-hatred. It's so bitter and visceral. I really like it. And then, as I feel like how much $1 cost is when our protagonist of the album, I don't know if I would specifically say like it is Kendrick. I'm not sure how much like it was Kendrick playing a character, especially the way he was in like GKMC. It's kind of the peak of their coldness. And it's like, here's a homeless person asking for money, like, could you lend me $1? And then saying, no, every dime's is mine to keep. Like, no, I don't want to give you shit. I don't know who you are. I can smell like the alcohol on your breath. I know what you're going to do with it. You're a crazy piece of shit. And like, well, congratulations. You just lost your place in heaven, asshole. And it's after that, there seems to be almost kind of this bit of self-reflection, because I think I is either right after or only a song or two after, and it's this beautiful contrast to You. And You is just, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And the refrain of I is, I love myself. And I feel like it's that how much $1 cost moment that leads to the character, wanting to give back and trying to be more active in the community. And that's, to me, like, really what I get out of the the interviews with Tupac. As we kind of start to see it throughout the album, it's like I don't remember what the first line is, but it's talking about like, hey, how did you use your influence and such? It almost feels like Kendrick's character at the end being like, hey, I want to know how you were able to do this because I want to be able to do that too. I want to be able to use my influence to help people, to help my community before it's too late, before I run out of time the way you did. And I get a lot of that in Atlanta. It is about hustling, it is about trying to get success, but there's also that sense of how much do I give back? I think I talked about this in season 3. Paperboy starts off as this very selfish character, but you do see throughout the show, you see throughout the show his desire to give back. We see, trying to say we see it, we see aught. Yeah. We see it in the Racism Council episode in season 3 where he's like, hey, no, I actually want to do this about, giving back to the community and investing. We see it. Did we kind of see it in the Blue Blood episode? No, the Blue Blood episode was him just being aware of like his legacy of what he's leaving behind, and even the YWA, the Young White Avatar. In a way, it is still a hustle of, let me try to benefit off someone. But in a sense, it's also, maybe I could help another artist out, and then unfortunately the guy that he was with ended up dying on an overdose. I feel like Earn is definitely Earn to me is definitely a character that has a lot of self-loathing, especially once you get to the therapy episode, which I think is another fantastic episode from this season. And I love the ending of that episode where he's proved his therapist right. That, no, spite, like, you're right, spite is powerful, but it can also leave you empty. It's not something that actively helps you. And at the end, just realizing what he did to this woman, who, not to say she didn't deserve some kind of recompense, but also, that's maybe a bit too far, dude. Like, that's kind of fucked. And I'm going, maybe it is. Maybe I do need therapy. I don't know. It's something that kind of clicks with me. Both of them do. So, that's what I wanted to say about that. So now we're going to get into the themes. And to me, the big themes of the season I really want to talk about: hustle, because it's Atlanta, and legacy. And I'll go ahead and say, I feel like legacy, I'm not sure as much in season 1 and season 2. I don't think really in season 1, possibly in season 2, and I just wasn't seeing it. In hindsight, it's definitely a theme in season 3. I feel like that's a big chunk of New Jazz. And I think there was another episode. I wrote it down. Maybe it was just the Oh no, sorry. It was the Wiley episode. To me, that was an episode about legacy, specifically again in that scene between Paperboy and Wiley, where it's Alfred is able to see his legacy in front of him. He is able to see what his music and his artistry has been able to do and who it's been able to affect. You also have Earn in I believe it's the second episode or the third episode, the one with the big ass tree. I don't remember the name of that artist he was working with, who was like, hey dude, I know I'm not that good, but if this guy wants to like set me up, who am I to turn that down? And you should help me. It's definitely a hustle, but it's also Earn starting to reach out and go from representing Alfred to representing a lot of other people. It's kind of him starting to forge his own legacy at the same time. There might have been other things from season 3 that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. But I feel like it is something that starts in that season, and I saw it quite a bit in season 4. But starting with hustle. Hustle's all about trying to get it to a better place than where you currently are and to maintain what you have. And we start off really strong with that in the station, in the most Atlanta, which that's such a good title. It was like, yeah, this is an episode of Atlanta. It is weird, it is bizarre, and there's just a lot of good shit to unpack here thematically. So Van and Ern go to this station. I don't remember what it was called. It was like Atlanta Central Station or something like that. And they notice exes, and they notice like a lot of people that they used to interact with. And at first it's kind of like, oh, cool, I haven't seen you in a long time. How are you? Blah, 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 blah. And they go to the AT&T store, and then Van recognizes somebody. She's like, yeah, I remember he was working here 10 years ago. Huh. That's a long time to be trapped here. And then when they try to leave, they can't find their car, things are missing. They run into one of the same people again, and then they realize, oh, we are super fucking lost. We don't want to end up trapped here like everyone else. We have to be able to leave. And they find a door. I think it's like emergency exit or something. And they open it, and it's super dark. They can't see, and Aaron's like, I gotta go. And Van's like, I want to go with you. I'm kind of scared. I don't know, but I'm also not letting you leave me behind. Let's go. Which, in hindsight, I'm like, that's kind of foreshadowing to Ern saying, look, I gotta go to LA. And Van's like, I don't know if I want to go with you, but she does anyways. And they go through it, and they come out the other side, and they're okay. And then their one friend saw them too, and I'm like, okay. I like this a lot. This, to me, is all about Atlanta's main theme of hustle. It's not that people are actively hustling here and trying to take advantage, but it's of what that represents. As I said a little bit ago, it's trying to get to a better place in life. This is stagnation. This is complacency. It's being stuck somewhere in the AT&T store for 10 years and not trying to get better. It's not trying to self-improve. And to be able to do that, to get better, to get out of where you are, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to open those doors. Sometimes you gotta go find the door. It won't just open for you. And sometimes it's dark. It's scary. You don't know what the hell is waiting for you on the other side, if not in the damn tunnel itself. But you have to take that risk and to be able to move forward. I really liked that. What does that even say? Just Ern's whole master plan against Lisa. Like, okay, so this woman wronged me by saying that my passport was fucked, and it caused me to miss something that I was going to go to, and I was going to take a trip with my wife. Not wife, but, with my girlfriend, question mark, their relationship's always complicated, but with Van and my daughter. And this shit happens. So you know what? I'm going to ruin her life. Apparently, she's trying to get published. So I'm going to set up a meeting with a publisher who's going to tell her how great her book is. And they're going to set up a reading. She's going to go to the reading. And the people working there at the reading are going to kind of fuck with her. And the kids that she's going to be reading to are going to be heckling her. And we're going to record it. And I am going to watch this woman's world crumble. I am going to see her at the height of her happiness and watch it slowly tumble down because no one fucks with me. Now, is this trying to get to a better place in life? No, but it is like, I'm going to use the connections I have to get what I want, and what he wants is really fucked, but he is still using it to get what he wants. That is also hustle to me. And on the same side, you do have Lisa trying to live her dream, trying to get to a better place in life. Like, I love to write, so I'm sending my stuff out. Okay, I got an agent. I'm gonna quit my job so I can focus on this. And her friend's like, I love you and support your writing, but that's a terrible idea. Like, what? I mean, don't do that now. And her trying to get a loan from her friend, and her friend's like, I can't do that. And then she's like, fuck you then, blah, blah, blah. Like, what a very pleasant person and a lovely individual. But, to me, that was another thing of hustle. We've got as I was saying earlier, the YWA is like, so again, this is definitely something about legacy, where all of these other rappers are saying you will never be as big as your first album. You might go on tour, you might release some albums, but after a while, you start to fade from the spotlight. What you need to do is you need to attach yourself to someone young, someone up and coming, and someone white. Because that is who will get a lot of attention. That's who the Grammys pay attention to. Get yourself a young, white avatar. Invest in them. Teach them. They might not listen. These guys aren't that good. But if you can get in their inner circle early, you can go to the Grammys with them. You'll be able to still make money. You'll be set for life. Sorry, I'm just looking at the next thing, and it's Ern's mom kidnapping her dad. Which was not necessarily trying to get herself to a better place, unless it is to get a better relationship with him, but she's trying to get her dad to a better place to get him away from Aunt Jeannie. And yes, you can kidnap an adult. You can kidnap your parents. Because kidnapping is... Gosh, I can't remember all the elements off the top of my head, but it's something along the lines of, like, unlawfully taking or moving a person, like, without their will or without their consent, by either moving them or hiding them. Like, if I, for whatever reason, took my dad, tied him up, and put him in a closet to hide him from my mom, that's kidnapping. If I went to the airport to pick up my mom and then drove her all the way to Minnesota for, I don't know, to go see the Mall of America or something, and she was like, no, take me home. No, we're doing this. That is kidnapping. Like, you can do that. Now, I guess here it's, did he consent to it? But we also, he does seem to have dementia, and at one point he's like, yeah, I've been in Egypt for 2 weeks. So, you don't know how all there he really is, and so could he actually consent to that? I don't know. But although, like, the joke about, like, you can't actually kidnap him, he's a grown adult, it's funny, but it's not technically accurate, and there is that part of my brain that's like, I have to bring that up. But it is what it is. Ern's dad and his hustle of, like, look, this is my time. On Sundays, I go to the mall, and I go early, before church ends, so I can have a good time before all the stupid kids show up. And Ern Goldsby's like, all right, Dad, this is what's going on. Mom took Grandpa, and Aunt Jeannie is mad, and she's frustrated, and she's blaming me, and it's not that necessarily that I blame her, but what do? Son, this is my time. You can take care of this. And inside the mall, you've got the woman trying to sell his dad a hat, just buttering up, like telling me like how nice he looks, how handsome he is. Like, oh, no, like I don't think the hats I have would even be good enough for you. And then he ends up getting this like burgundy hat with these fleur-de-lis on. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I actually think that's a really nice looking hat. And then there's a kid who ends up being there because he took too long buying the hat, so his me time got fucked up. And then the kid is hustling him to take a picture by causing a scene, getting on his knees, being like, come on, Pops, take the picture with me. And he gets kind of just coerced into doing it, and it's just to roast him. And I just felt really bad for his dad. I've been saying that a lot. I'm sounding like Jeff Goldblum. There's Van's hustle of, I can try to get a little bit of extra money. I'm going to go work for Mr. Chocolate. I'm going to see if I can get in a movie. Mr. Chocolate's entire operation is a hustle. He's got this cult. So pretty much it just feels like all the people there that are working for him are part of a cult, and it's really creepy. And I'm remembering that Boondocks episode. Oh, is it, you had to renounce Ice Cube and all his works to join the cult. Was that cult for Tyler Perry? That part I don't remember. Because I know there's a Tyler Perry episode. I know there's a BET episode. I don't remember if the Tyler Perry episode is also the cult episode. If it is, that's kind of fucking funny. And they make a point that Mr. Chocolate is just kind of feeding his audience schlock. It's not that he's like, man, I'm a really good writer, I'm a really passionate writer who loves what I do, and more of, I just kind of write on a whim and just say shit, and it happens, and I know they eat it up. I think he has a line. Did I write it down? No, I don't think I did. Fuck. Maybe I put it down in the legacy part. I think I did, and it's kind of both, where I believe Van says to him, she's like, like, you're not a creator, you're not an artist. He says, no, I'm a philanthropist. I'm giving them what they want. And I feel like on the one hand, that is a legacy. Like, this is how some people will remember him. This is what he wants his own legacy to be. And it is also part of his hustle. It's like, I'm a philanthropist. I give people what they want. You just told me my work is unrelatable, but I've been watching you. Let's take a look. You did this, you experienced this, and this, and this, and this. This, you are one of my movies. And I thought that was actually really interesting. It's like, you say that I'm just giving them schlock, but if your day here is anything to go by, I'm giving them their reality, and they enjoy watching their reality. And I found that just kind of interesting shit. Also, you've got, within all that, there was that one woman saying, hey, it seems like Mr. Chocolate really likes your kid. Not in like a weird way. It's like, you think she has potential to be an actress. You and I should be friends, because then my kid can become her friend and get cast in more roles as your kid's best friend, and we can do this. And then there's the other woman. I don't remember if it was the same person. I think they were different, but I could be wrong. Who helps out Van by shooting a dude in the foot. And it turns out she's doing that because she wants to have sex with Van in the boiler room. That was interesting. Like, what the hell does this say? Okay, I'm gonna make some mac and cheese. From Crank That Killer, we've got Doug. What was his name? It's like some guy named Doug, I think. Which there is this really funny line when Alfred's talking about him. He's like, okay, he's like one of the kindest people I've ever met. Yeah, let me try that again. He's one of the kindest people I've ever met. I think he's a trash artist, and I don't want to listen to him. And then at the end, they're playing the song, and it's terrible. Darius is like, man, this is awful. And it's just dancing to it anyways. Well, you've got Doug trying to make a song with Paperboy because that'll help his career, and Paperboy, and this is more of a legacy thing, but being like, look, I don't want to be associated with you, like, no offense, but I don't want to taint my legacy by making a shitty song with you. And then in the song, Alfred's just like, I don't want to be here, don't shout me out. It's so funny. You have Ern and Darius trying to get the Nikes. This, I think, is one of the funniest setups in the show. Possibly the funniest setup in the show to me is Alfred and his barber. That episode is gold. I think it is possibly the single funniest episode of Atlanta. This episode is amazing. Crank That Killer is amazing. But this setup of, okay, there's these Nike shoes. They already sold out, but we know the shoe man. We have a guy, so we're going to go to the guy to get the shoes. And he's like, hey, you know what? I know they're super expensive. It's okay. You don't have to pay me for them. Oh, well, thanks. But he's got his own hustle, not just selling the shoes, but the weird shit he does. Like, I just want to see you two kiss. And then they have to start negotiating. Like, okay, what do we do with the kiss? How long is the kiss? And again, getting into legacy here, though, Ern is talking about dignity. And I feel like your dignity is kind of part of your legacy. It's like, how much of yourself and your morals did you sell out to get to where you are? And he's like, dude, we don't need these shoes. They're nice, but I've worn terrible shoes even though I have money. I have seen people wear terrible shoes and terrible clothes despite being rich. We don't have to do this. This is not worth our dignity. And I think you know I'm right. And Darius just kind of nods. I still want to do it. And they do it. And as they're fucking doing it. The shoe man gets killed, rendering all of this moot and pointless. And it's so fucking wild, man. Gosh, this shit was just fucking bananas. But we've got that. As I said earlier, Ern is trying to get a job in LA. And he's got the job in LA, but he wants to take Van and Lottie with him. He takes them out camping for Lottie's birthday and is talking to Van, and Van's like, okay, here's the problem, Ern. I feel like you doing this camping trip and wanting to talk to me about this, I feel like this is a hustle. I feel like you're trying to get me, and not in like I'm scared of you way, but you're getting me alone to talk to me about all this, and almost trying to butter us up by doing something nice. This smells weird. And also, again, like, this is more of a, like, I'm kind of talking about both at the same time. I don't want my legacy to be your girlfriend. And it's not necessarily something against you, but it's like, I don't want it to just be, I'm your girlfriend. You're taking me because I happen to be the daughter of your mom. And Ern doing his best to convince her that this is not a hustle, but I am willing to hustle for you. I am willing to fight for you. Like, you know me, Van, I don't fight for anything, and I am here fighting for you. I don't need, if I move to LA without you and Lottie, I can find somebody. I'll be honest about that. This is not just me saying, hey, I don't want to be alone, because I don't have to be. But I want it to be you. It's not just because you're comfortable. It's not just because you're Lottie's mom and I feel like I have to. It's because I want you. And I love you so much. And the fact that you're also the mother of my daughter. What exactly that he said? He's like, it makes me want to bust. But I liked that. It wasn't, again, it's a hustle, not in the sense of, like, let me take advantage of a situation, but let me fight to get to a better place. And for Ern, that better place is, I want my better job, but I want the people I can't live without with me too. And fighting for her and convincing her that it has to be you. Specifically, not just Lottie's mom, not just the person that I have this off and on comfortable kind of relationship with, you specifically, and that's what wins her over, and I really liked that. And it's one of those episodes that's very low-key. It's not the funniest episode, but it's really, really good. It's a very satisfying and fulfilling episode. And then from the Goofy episode, you've got Thomas's vision for the Goofy movie. And doing everything he can to make it the movie that he wants. And again, he's making it his legacy. He's like, this is what I want to leave behind for my community, but it's really what I want to leave behind for my son. I want him to see this and know that I made it for him. That his father, because I think they even said, like, Thomas's son was named Max, or was named Maxwell. Like, this is about us. And, like, okay, like the fishing trip from the Goofy movie, it's a fishing trip that the two of them would take, and the lake was based on a lake that they went to. This is about our culture and our community and our relationship. But as he kept making the movie, and as the stress of being the CEO of Disney kept getting to him, kind of destroyed his legacy as he was creating it. And it's so fucking tragic. It's a hilarious episode, like, on paper. Conceptually is kind of more what I mean. You're like, this is, what? This is kind of wild, but, like, I don't know, I'm kind of down for, like, it's primo Atlanta Bizarro shit. In execution, it is a devastating episode, and I think that's why it's one of my favorites. And I guess just the final bit of hustle from the show is them going to the sushi restaurant and being like, man, there's a Popeyes across the street. And we'd really, really much rather go to the Popeyes and them trying to get out of it. And then the owner saying, okay, here's my hustle. I'm going to try to convince you all to stay and eat my poisoned fish, the puffer fish. And when it seems like that's not going to work, just saying, okay, let's just lock him in. And again, Alfred has this one line about the Popeyes that cracked me up. He's like, man, it smells like the manager meat as hell. Oh, that was fantastic. I actually had Popeyes the other day, too. I had the chicken sandwich. I hadn't had it in a while, and it was so good. And my fries, they're actually ended up finding like a bit of shrimp in my fries, too. And I was like, they got me. They absolutely got me. It was wonderful. So after that, talking about legacy, which I've talked about quite a bit of my points already, so I'll kind of skim over those, and if it's one I haven't talked about yet, then I'll do that. So if hustle is getting to a better place and getting the things you want, but the connections you have, your legacy is, what do you do with it now? Now that you've gotten to the better place, now that you've gotten what you want, how do you want to be remembered, and how will people actually remember you? And I feel like it's a really, really big part of Alfred's character. And again, like in season 3 with the racism board and wanting to get back to his community, and in New Jazz, we see it. We see it a lot in season 4 after the Blue Blood scavenger hunt. And seeing like, yeah, this was one of my favorite rappers, and like I really liked this guy. His legacy is barely anyone showed up to his funeral, which granted was because he did it in his own weird, bizarro way, which was really neat. I really liked the scavenger hunt, but it really started to get Alfred thinking about that. And then he goes to that YWA meeting, and then he teams up with Yodel Kid, which doesn't go very well, and you can see how much the death affected him by the end. When he's at a bar like with Ern and Darius. I think it's Ern. What did he say? Because I think Alfred was talking about like how weird it felt, like the whole situation, especially now with the death. I think it was Ern who said, it's not about what feels good, it's about what lasts. And then they headed out, and Darius, Alfred's like, all right, I just kind of want to be here by myself for a little bit. You see him at one point. I mean, also, like, the whole point of Crank That Killer is about Alfred's legacy. On the one hand, it's the legacy of... that's the point. Sorry, I know I just said that and didn't really elaborate. The Crank That Killer's motivation is going after people based on their legacy being, we made Crank Dat videos. And it's the part of Alfred's legacy that he's now afraid of. And it's not necessarily him as an artist, it's not any Paperboy songs, but it's the whole, like, it's his legacy as part of rap culture is what he's scared of. But the person that actually tries to kill him, I think they said, is someone he knew from high school. So it's the personal element of his legacy that actually came back to bite him. And I find that kind of interesting. And I remember in season 1, there was someone that was looking for Paperboy, and I don't know if that's who this guy is supposed to be, and we finally got something out of that, or if this is just a coincidence. And then him getting his safe farm. Safe farm is there. Him getting his safe farm and raising Blue Blood's plant, which was, I'm 90% sure that was weed, knowing Alfred. But that's also kind of part of his legacy of like, all right, I don't necessarily want to be tied to Atlanta and all the shit that I have done there and that's happened to me there. I want to be able to be my own man, have my own, like, kind of little slice of life, like a little patch of heaven. Wasn't expecting to shout out Home on the Range, but here we are. And it's hard. It is hard to just pick up and move and start over somewhere. But he is able to make genuine progress. And yeah, the scene of him killing the pig And then the next, it's not immediately the next scene, but like the next morning he's eating bacon. He didn't cook the pig, but I thought that was pretty funny. I really enjoyed that. I guess kind of another thing is you see consistently part of Alfred's legacy that he is trying to forge is his strength. And because you will see him not admitting weakness. He was almost assassinated in Crank That Killer, and he doesn't tell Ern and Darius. He's like, I don't want people to worry about me. I don't want people to see me as weak, and that guy was running and terrified. Oh, sorry, that was another thing of Hustle, was the dude in Crank That Killer going to the mall to try and like talk to Paperboy, and it didn't work. Paperboy just like fucking shoved him away, like, there's a killer, man! And he was flying through the glass. 'Cause I'm looking at you through the glass. Where was I? Fuck. I don't remember now. Something about Alfred and his legacy. Let me check the notes again. Oh yeah, his weakness, sorry. He doesn't tell Ern and Darius about that after he almost gets killed by the wild hog, and he's sitting there fucked up, and he's talking to Ern. He doesn't tell him, like, dude, I almost died. He's like, nah, man, everything's cool. When he's dealing with the loss of his mom in the woods episode and all the weird shit that happened, he doesn't really tell Ern about it. He just kind of internalizes it. That is a consistent part of his character, and I feel like, again, of the legacy he is trying to build. When it comes to Ern, I feel like I was saying earlier, we're talking about Spite and how, like, his hustle to fuck over Lisa. It's him saying, I don't want Spite to be my legacy anymore. And then going full Spite mode, and afterwards going like, no, that was kind of fucked up. I do need to fix this. And I found that really interesting. Like, again, just that whole conversation about, I think I wrote the line down because I really liked it. Yeah, like, I wanted to prove them wrong. I love Spite. It's a powerful thing. It gave me courage. And then the therapist saying, it's like, yeah, Spite is powerful, but it can leave you empty. Excuse me. That actually resonated with me a lot. As someone who, there have definitely been a lot of decisions in my life that I have made that were motivated by spite, just pure, unadulterated spite. It is very powerful. It can give you that courage. It can leave you feeling really empty after. And I found that really interesting. Again, like him wanting Van and Lottie to be part of his legacy. There are things he can't leave behind. Feel like Van taking Lottie away from Mr. Chocolate, and a part of that is also like, hey, I'm being a good mom here. This guy's crazy, he's got a cult going on. But also he's like, I don't want Lottie's legacy to be just was it Keithwood, Kirkwood? I don't exactly remember. I don't want her to just be a Mr. Chocolate girl. I want her to be able to make her own legacy. And you know, as an adult, if this is something she wants to do, I won't stop her. But I want her to be able to make those kind of choices on her own. And like I was saying, Mr. Chocolate, to someone like Van, his legacy is you're an artist, you're just feeding people schlock. And to him, he's like, no, my legacy is I'm a philanthropist. I'm giving people what they want, and they love me for it. And I was talking about Thomas and how his vision of a Goofy movie, he wanted it to be his legacy. And then when he saw the final cut of the film, specifically all the Bigfoot stuff, he's like, my legacy has been tainted, it's been taken from me. And so he ended his life. And there's this one scene, which is almost like a perfect representation of the episode and how Atlanta can be. When they're talking about how someone asked him, it's like, hey, Thomas, are you okay? Like, are you in control of the budget? And I think he said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, absolutely I am. And then did this laugh. And they're like, he did this perfect impression of Goofy and this goofy laugh. And partway through, I think they said like he broke down and started crying, and everyone in the room heard this laugh, and we were terrified. And it's, on the one hand, the idea of this guy who's the CEO of Disney going, I got everything under control. And like doing a Goofy laugh is really funny. But in context and in the execution, when you see just how broken Thomas is at this point, and how his life is deteriorating, and everyone in the room saying, no, like, this is fucked up. Like, it was terrifying seeing him like that and hearing him like that. Like, it broke my fucking heart. And its ability to make me laugh and damn near cry at the exact same point is why I fucking love Atlanta. Then we get the final episode and Darius's visions, which I feel like are very much about Darius and his legacy, about a friend of his that he left behind and hasn't seen in a long time. Someone who seemed to have an alcohol problem, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, is this someone that he just hasn't talked to in a long time, like almost kind of at face value? Is it someone who he, even though Derek, like, he's a pothead, he's like, this is shit that I can't do anymore and I can't be involved with, and I have to, almost like cut this cancer out? Is it someone he knew who died, who, because of the alcohol and the drinking and driving, lost her life, and it's someone Darius wasn't able to save? And the reason I really wondered that is one of his next visions as he's talking to his brother. And it becomes very clear that his brother died, and there's also the implication that his parents have died as well. And him reflecting on those relationships and the time that they lost and how he could have spent more time with them. Okay, then I just kind of have my notes for the ending and the finale, and if it's a dream, this is kind of what I think it may. So I guess I'll do that. Like, in terms of, if this is all a dream, what does it actually say? If the finale is all a dream, if all of Atlanta is all a dream, Darius's friends won't leave him the way that his friend did, the way that his brother did, and the way that his parents did. And that's almost in a way kind of part of his, I don't know if it's necessarily his legacy, but it's like the legacy of the people in his life and how they've affected him. And if this is a dream, he's going to try to hold on to them. If it's not a dream, I feel like, sorry, it's completely zonked out for a second. I don't know what the hell happened. Or just let me actually look at my notes for a second. If it's not a dream, this is his last moment with his friends before they leave and kind of try to forge their own legacies. Paperboy, not really living in Atlanta anymore, doing his own shit in the farm. Ern, going to LA to live his life there, taking Van with him, taking Lottie with him, leaving Darius by himself. And it's the fact that he smiles. And on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, he's smiling because he knows he's in his own reality and that his people won't leave him. Or on the other hand, he's smiling because he knows even if this moment is fleeting and they're going to go do their own shit, or he's about to go to jail for stealing a Maserati because he thought he was still in the tank, he's smiling because he does still have people in his life and people who love him that he loves as well. And while reflecting on, the lost time with his brother, he knows he still has time with people in his life. Even though you can hear the police sirens in the background because he's probably going to jail for stealing the Maserati. So that's legacy. So now I just want to talk about some of the bizarro shit and the funny shit. From the first episode, just the whole concept of that station where that time forgot, which feels like a Twilight Zone episode. I don't know if it actually is. The woman in the chair just following Darius the entire time. Everything with D'Angelo. The waiting area for days. Also Ern looking at the Dasani and saying, no, I'm not doing this shit, was really funny to me. As someone who drinks Dasani, I thought that was hilarious. I have to experience D'Angelo, and then crawling through, like basically going into Narnia, crawling through this thing in the wall, and then coming out through a wardrobe. You see D'Angelo with a chicken tender. He takes the skin off the tender and then uses the skin to make a chicken sandwich. I'm talking to Ern about Ern's dream. And he's like, yo, you've always got this dream about these hands pulling you down. So I'm like, that was like the start of season 3. It's like, but how do you know that the hands pulling you are trying to bring you down? Maybe they're trying to do something else. And, like, you are now part of D'Angelo. D'Angelo is not just one person. It's many people. We're like a collective. It was weird. And it was great. We've got Aunt Jeannie. Oh, this wasn't, my bad. This wasn't supposed to be in Bizarro shit. This is supposed to be in Legacy. Her legacy of her family just remembers her as this evil, spiteful, vindictive bitch. And there was this really funny line, though, when I guess this is a bit of hustle of Cat Williams. I don't remember his name. I remember the alligator man, but Uncle Cat Williams, the alligator man, saying, by the way, since we're on the phone, you owe me $800. That was gold. Mr. Chocolate having this, fucked up cult, and also the grits don't work on me scene, I think is possibly just the funniest individual moment in Atlanta. The entire concept of a Crankdat killer, like, you made Crankdat Soulja Boy music videos? No, you gotta die. It's fucking bizarre, and it's great. The shoe man just wanting Darius and Ern to kiss. The snipe hunt actually resulting in catching a snipe. Again, just like the whole entirety of the Goofy Movie episode, and the fact that it's fucking incredible. And the finale, all of Darius's visions, the concept of thick Judge Judy. And just that scene of Darius running into the restaurant, punching the dude in the face, taking them into the pink Maserati where there just happens to be Popeyes in the car. I was laughing so hard when I got to that scene. And so it's really talking about the finale and the final scene. I was saying earlier, it's like, if it's all a dream, I think Darius smiling is the people in my life, they're still here with me. They're not going to leave. If it's real, his smile is the people in my life are still here, even if for a limited time. And I want to make the most of that time. And they love me and I love them. And I think it is a genuine smile. I know the title of the episode is It's All a Dream, which in a way almost feels like it's giving away the fact that, like, no, this is all a dream. The fact that there is so much weird, bizarro shit in Atlanta, like Teddy Perkins or the invisible car, does make it almost seem like, okay, this could definitely be a dream. Darius mentions in the episode, I go to the tank every week. So almost like, okay, every week when there's an episode of Atlanta, it's Darius in the tank. I think he even says, for like 30 to 40 minutes, which especially in later seasons is about the length of an Atlanta episode. The episodes from season 3 and even the Goofy Movie episode that have nothing to do with the regular show and the regular cast. It's just one of Darius's visions. Like, I get all of that. I saw an interview with Donald Glover, and I don't know if he was necessarily talking about the finale and like the title of it, but he was saying that working on this show is a dream. Like, I feel like this is all a dream, me being able to do this and create this show and be able to like talk about my experiences and other people's experiences, and like I'm living that. And I feel like that's what the title is. I feel like the title is saying this experience and this show, making it and having people watch it and love it as much as I loved making it, that is all a dream. And it's the best damn dream I've ever had. I think in the ending of Inception, that top will spin forever, because I think Leo is in a dream. But I think at the end of Atlanta, it is real. Which sucks because those police sirens are real, and yeah, Darius is kind of fucked there, but that's what I think. Have anything else I really wanted to say about it? Not really. That's kind of it. regardless if this episode was a dream, if all of Atlanta is a dream, or if all of it was real, or only some of it was real, this is a beautiful show. It is definitely, I don't know where I'd put it in like a list of all my favorite shows, especially if I'm like with anime and all that kind of shit too. But this is definitely somewhere in my list of favorite shows of all time. I absolutely adored it. And tentatively, without a list of episodes in front of me, I would go from bottom to top, season 3, 1, 2, 4. I'm so glad that I watched it. Like I said earlier, like I'm kind of pissed that I don't have new episodes of Atlanta to watch. But I'm really glad I was able to watch the episodes. Thank you to Donald Glover and to Hiro, I think it's Mirai. I apologize for getting that wrong, and everyone who worked on the show for giving me like this phenomenal experience.